I was listening to Chris Sims Unbuttoned, which is Chris Sims' show where Connor Rogers is one of the co-hosts that Sims frequently has on. Connor, of course, covers the Jets for SNY, big-time draft analyst, and does the Jets podcast with Joe Caporoso. Connor was out at Jet Camp yesterday, got a chance to sit down with Olu Fashanu for an interview that aired on SNY, and I thought Connor's takeaways were certainly noteworthy, and Sims' response and providing the former player perspective I thought gave us some good insight into where the Jets are at 5 practices in to training camp. So we'll play the clip and react in real time. Again, this is from the Chris Sims Unbuttoned podcast. Here's Connor discussing some takeaways from his day at Jets camp.
Speaking of those damn Jets,
Yeah.
I went to camp yesterday.
Yeah.
I love getting out there once a year because I just love being around football practices, and especially pads are on. It was clearly a longer day for them because they're off today.
Yep.
So I kind of timed it up right where it's like
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great day to see. Yeah.
No surprise. It felt like a big deal every time it's David Bailey's turn to do something, which feels good for the second overall pick.
Yeah.
Rather than everyone's like, when is the second overall pick going to stand out? He beat Olu Fashanu on a nice speed rush. One play. No, it was a nice pass set from Olu. It's just David Bailey's insanely explosive.
Yes.
Goes on the other side. There's one-on-ones. And tries speed to power against Membu.
Yeah.
And it was like running into an oak tree.
A wall.
An oak tree.
What did you feel like the overall thought about how David Bailey's looked every day so far?
Like just disruptive, and I think they're surprised the compete level against the run.
Gotcha.
It's almost like, not that he's been asked this, that he's read. Everybody's like, can he play against the run? Can he play against the run? Where he's dialing it up more against the run to show everybody he can play against the run.
Yeah.
But just this time of year, you want to see how people move.
Yeah.
And he's moving.
He passed the look test.
It's like, oh, okay. Like you were the number 2 overall pick.
Yeah. What about any of the other rookies pop to you there?
So I just want to hit on that first as we discuss Connor's comments here in real time. We could say, it's training camp. The games haven't started yet. It's not a big deal. We're making too much of David Bailey looking the part. See, I disagree with that because we've seen in the past guys come in, and you've heard stories from previous Jet coaches or executives who will tell you, man, we knew after the first practice this guy wasn't any good. Mike Westhoff famously told Brian Costello after the Jets selected D. Milner, they knew after the first practice, wow, this guy stinks. He can't play. So you can sometimes know if a top 10 pick is not any good after just a couple practices, which is scary, but that's true. And NFL teams get it wrong. And the Jets, once upon a time, used a top 10 pick on an edge rusher in Vernon Golston, and we know how that went. So, again, no one's putting David Bailey in the Hall of Fame, but the fact that Connor there said people around the Jets have been surprised at Bailey's compete level against the run and that it felt like a big deal when David Bailey is doing things, I think that's positive. That's not nothing. Because, again, David Bailey, no matter how anyone feels about whether you wanted him or Arvell Reese, the bottom line is this guy is going to help right away. That's what we were sold on. He's going to come in, rush the passer, provide a huge boost to the defensive line that stunk last year. If he's even better than just what your typical rookie is, well, then all of a sudden the floor and ceiling for the Jet defense, I believe, is raised. Because think about it like this. The Jets have added some good players to their defense. Demario Davis, still a very good player. Minka Fitzpatrick, good player. David Onyemata, good player. Helps you in a position of need. Tavondre Sweat, assuming he gets healthy, we'll talk about Sweat in a moment here. Really good player, I believe, for exactly what Aaron Glenn needs up front. I don't think they have any stars, though, on the defense. David Bailey as the number 2 pick, he's drafted to eventually be a star. He's drafted to be Garrett, Parsons, Watt, Will Anderson. That's the type of player that you're hopefully adding to your defense. And it doesn't mean he has to have 10 or 11 sacks as a rookie to make you feel like mission accomplished, we got our guy in Bailey. But he's got to be disruptive. He's got to get after the quarterback. He's got to, have some strip sacks, tackles for a loss, be impactful, deflect the pass in the air that leads to an interception, a novel concept for the Jets, as we know. Like, that's the stuff that you want to see. So I like hearing that through 5 practices, including the last 2 with the pads on, that Bailey's still being noticed by people like Connor, who studies the draft year-round for his role with NBC. That's a good thing. It's another step in the right direction for where we're headed with this player, who they have to have gotten it right at number 2. Have to. All right, he's the highest drafted defensive player in Jet history. Got to get it right. So I like hearing that from Connor Rogers. More from Connor and his takeaways from Jets camp.
Omar Cooper definitely looks the part, like ready to contribute.
Right.
But the thing is, Adonai Mitchell has looked so good that he's really the number 3. I mean, Adonai Mitchell and Geno, it's like
they're on the same page.
They're on the same page. Geno is throwing the ball really, really well, like aggressively.
Oh, that's his quarterback coach, Matt Sims.
That's right. That's right. That Sims camp before camp worked out really well. I'm trying to think.
Are we concerned about Sadiq?
Because that's a guy that they're going to line him up in so many different ways, and now you're missing a lot of your training camp as a rookie. It's just a bummer.
Yeah.
And Frank Reich, that was his guy to get. So that was definitely one where it's like it just felt like kind of a gut punch.
And he's dealing with what? A re-aggravation of the
a hernia
sports
surgery.
hernia surgery?
Yeah, he had the surgery.
Yes.
I think he played through it last year, and it was just the way Glenn delivered the news to us is that they're not happy with what they're seeing from the surgery. So we'll see.
All right, that stinks. I don't want to see that. Okay, off of that, difference in attitude or the way camp was run maybe from last year to this year?
Defense knows that everybody laughed at them for the lack of takeaways, that they're trying to jump passes.
Got you.
Like it was more like stop being so afraid and just playing the hands and turn around and try to make a play. And if you give up a completion, you give up a completion.
Yeah.
Like you could tell they kind of wore that. Also, one of the first plays of 11 on 11s, Omar Cooper actually just got lit up. Somebody forced the fumble. I think it was Kiko Mauingoa. And like the defense is taking it personal of, it's a joke last year. Like, he didn't force an interception throughout an NFL season.
Yeah.
They clearly took that very personal. I think the line physically is really impressive. Just the tandem of Membu and Fashanu, the work they put in the offseason, they felt more like 6th or 7th year pros, not year 2 and 3 kind of guys.
So let's talk about the comment that Connor made about the defense taking the lack of turnovers, the lack of interceptions personally. That's exactly what you want, right? Minka Fitzpatrick is not coming here to be a laughingstock. The guy's had a borderline Hall of Fame level career. I mean, seriously, go look at the accolades Minka Fitzpatrick's had in his career. He's been as good as any secondary player since he's been drafted. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time first-team All-Pro. That's borderline Hall of Fame numbers there when you're a 3-time All-Pro. Think about that. So when I hear stuff like that, that juices me up. That gets me excited. Because the only way the Jets are going to be better than we think is if guys like Minka and DeMario set a standard that we're not the same old Jets anymore. You know, we're going to be a different team this year. We're going to force takeaways. We're going to be impactful. The Jake Asman Show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks right now. If you're a sports fan, they have something for everyone, especially if you're one of my listeners and you're gearing up for the upcoming Jets season. For player picks on PrizePicks, you just pick a player you like and you go more or less on a few of their stats. Check out some of the numbers they have for some of your favorite Jet players. Geno Smith, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., Kenyon Sadiq, and many more. PrizePicks should be your go-to. And check out their new offer right now. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you need to do is sign up and use that code HMA. That's PrizePicks code HMA. Download the app now or click the link in the description to download the PrizePicks app today. That stuff matters. I like hearing that the Jet defense, according to Connor, playing more aggressive in these practices. Like, don't worry about getting beat. It's going to happen. Go and make plays. And that's what Aaron Glenn's defense did that last year in Detroit. They had a lot of injuries, but they were opportunistic. And I think that's the key to the Jets defense this year, right? You might give up points. You might give up yards. Can you be good in the red zone? And can you force takeaways? Can the Jets defense force a takeaway week 1 against Cam Ward that sets Geno Smith and the Jet offense up with a short field to give them an easy 7 points? Can you think of any drives last year where the Jets had a short field on offense because the defense created the takeaway? We know they didn't have an interception, but think of some of the fumble recoveries. I can think of the one in London where Jarvis Brownlee came up with the takeaway, and I think the Jets settled for a field goal on that drive. You know, one of their 4 takeaways last year, it's a bit misleading. People say they only had 4 all season. Well, they only had 3 on defense. One was on special teams where the Atlanta Falcons kick returner or punt returner muffed it at the 1-yard line. And then I think Breece Hall had an easy 1-yard touchdown on the next play. The Jets' drive started at the 1-yard line because Not because they forced the takeaway, because the Falcons screwed up. Right? They beat the Browns because of their special teams, even though Fields had like negative passing yards that day. They scored a touchdown on kickoff return and punt return in the same quarter of that game. It's not like the defense won the Jets any games. They won 3 games because of their special teams. Banjo's unit. And we'll see without Nick Folk, what that unit now looks like as far as the kicking goes. But I like hearing that because, again, for Aaron Glenn to save his job, this defense has to exceed expectations. They got to be a reason why the Jets are winning games, not a reason why they're still losing games. If the Jets get outmanned because they're facing Patrick Mahomes, or they're facing Justin Herbert, or they're facing Josh Allen twice and Drake May 4 times combined, right? If they can't win those games because Geno Smith's not going to win a shootout over Justin Herbert, or the 4 games combined I mentioned between May and Allen, yeah, no bleep. Of course, Geno's not going to be able to win those shootouts. We don't expect him to. We expect the Jet defense to be better and come up with key stops. Salah's defense was able to somehow have success against Josh Allen. Like, that's good, what you're going to need from Glenn. And specifically, look at the Jet schedule, right? Week 2, Packers. Week 3, Lions. Week 4, Bears. Aaron Glenn in Detroit. He knows all those teams. He's faced those offensive coordinators, those offenses. He's faced Ben Johnson in practice every day. He's going to go up against the Lions now with Dan Campbell. He knows what they're running. Johnny Morton's now their offensive coordinator. He knows exactly what Morton's going to run. He was there in Detroit. They worked together. He knows what Matt LaFleur and the Packers offense is. It's the same offense. Like, this is what you're going to need from the Jet defense if they want any chance of being better than we think. And the head coach, he said he's got superpowers as a play caller. The path to save his job, on top of the most obvious one, win at least 7, if not, I think, 8 games. I don't think 6 is enough. 7 is borderline. 8, he's here. Go out and be the reason why you're winning games. This defense being the reason. And I like hearing that the defense is determined to end this interception drought because it's embarrassing. It's a joke. It's a record that will last forever. It is the most unbreakable record in sports, you could argue, that an NFL team over 17 games could go an entire season without an interception. I mean, it's even for Jet standards, it's one of the most embarrassing things that's ever happened to this franchise. It really is. And it's on this head coach, who was a damn good player in his own right as a corner in the NFL, to fix it. Because it's on his watch. Don't blame just Steve Wilkes. Aaron Glenn's the head coach. It's on him to fix it.
You have superpowers! You gotta fly over there!
Let's see it. By the way, quick correction. Johnny Morton's no longer the Lions OC. It's Drew Petzing, who was with the Cardinals last year as the OC. But the point still stands. It's still Dan Campbell having a major say. He still knows that personnel on the Lions offense. And that's going to be the key for the Jets. Win a game you're not supposed to early. Win week 1 against Salah and find a way to win one of your next 3. Be 2-2 before you play the Browns. Beat the Browns, you're 3-2. Lose to New England? Okay, you're 3-3, but then you have 2 home games against the Miami Dolphins, who most people think is the worst team in the NFL, or certainly in the bottom 3, and the Vegas Raiders, who were the worst team in the NFL besides the Jets last year. 4-4 through 8. You see how I just found the path to it? Meaningful games. We get to November 1st. The Jets are 4-4. Their season will still be relevant when we have turkey on the table this year for Thanksgiving. Or they could lose week 1, lose the next 3. Aaron Glenn's going to be fired at the end of the year, and it's another nightmare for all of us as fans, which we hope doesn't happen. That's how this thing could go. But I like hearing that there's a different attitude around this defense in camp. That's good stuff. More from Connor and Chris Sims.
I would think
that's their identity.
That's what jumps out to me. Is that it's Detroit-like. I mean, we've talked about that a lot in the offside. They want to be big. Yep. They don't want anybody to be able to push them around. And that's where you look at their roster and you go, oh, they have a chance to be that.
They're a bigger team.
Right? It seems that way.
Yeah, they were very small under Saleh.
Yeah, exactly.
And it worked when they were running around, but then it didn't. It got really ugly at the end.
No, especially not in this kind of scheme and what they want to do.
Yeah, all the tackles are just so big.
Well, I mean, and they get that defense, they get Tavondre Sweat out there. They're going to have the same thing on the defensive line, too.
He's the guy they're all looking around like, we got to get this guy out here because we think he could be you always say, you got to have difference makers.
Yeah.
They need David Bailey to be a difference maker because they don't have difference makers.
Yes.
They need D'Angelo Pons to get healthy and be a difference maker. Tavondre Sweat, a bit of a wild card, but needs to be a difference maker.
Yeah, well, they need Tavondre Sweat to be their Liam McNeil in the middle, a space eater, to kind of free everybody up and make a mosh pit in front of that, in that offensive line and do that there. So I'm excited for the Jets. I feel like we're running into the same problem we talked about last year where again, and maybe it's the popularity of the sport. I feel like I used to be able to just look at the NFL and go, hey, there's these teams right here. There's no way they're getting in the playoffs. We're just going to knock them out.
Shrinks every year.
I just right now, there's so many teams that are good on paper and so many good players coming out in the draft, and the sport's so popular. It's a tougher exercise than ever before.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy. A lot of news around the NFL over the last 48 hours.
Yeah.
How about the Zay Flowers extension?
Yeah.
We touched on it, but just the money. Did that surprise you? $108 million guaranteed across 4 years.
I know. I did not think he was going to get Justin Jefferson money.
Right.
I did not.
So this is tied for the fourth highest. You're right. It brings up JSN, Jamar Chase, Drake London. Flowers is, tied with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So he's behind those three guys, tied with Justin Jefferson, who's probably going to be like, hey.
Well, again, that just shows you 2 years later, and you see where the market goes. It's incredible.
So I left that part in because I wanted to give some love to Darren Muji. Right? They're talking about Zay Flowers' new extension. Well, think about this for a moment. Garrett Wilson a couple years ago was paid like a top 5 receiver in the NFL at the time. Remember that? Now look at how that contract has aged since it was given out, since the Jets were proactive in extending Garrett Wilson the way they were. Garrett Wilson is barely a top 10 paid receiver at this point. Think about that.
The deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.